Welcome to the Life You're Made For with me, Dr. Heather Penny. We're going to be having conversations that talk about us spiraling up versus spiraling down, because we all want to be living lives that are about thriving, not just surviving. This is the life you're made for. So let's get going. Hi, Dawn. Welcome.
Hello, Heather. I'm so glad to be here.
Oh, I am too. We have a treat in store for you all today, listeners. We are going to be actually going through a coaching session. We talked about this a little bit on my team, and we realized not everybody has access to a coach or even have time just to work with a coach. And so what we want to do is just model what a coaching conversation looks like. And Dawn volunteered to be coached throughout this time. So if you guys can all listen in and see what you maybe relate to. Dawn, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, no, I just think there's so much to be gained from kind of watching somebody else work through transformation in their own life. Even if it's not the exact situation that other people are dealing with, the process of how to apply so many of your principles, Heather, I think is going to be really helpful for people.
Yes. And I think to your point, Dawn, you're right. For my listeners, just replace the topic, maybe what we're talking about. What we really want you to capture here is the process in which we are working through our belief system and really how we're using the 3 C's of clarity to get our clarity, to build our confidence, and to engage our courage. It really doesn't matter what we apply it toward. It works for universal areas to help you all really step into that life that you're made for. So before we jump in, Dawn, tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are, what you do.
Yes. So I am, well, that's a varied question, isn't it? I have 2 organizations, one nonprofit where we are trying to kind of reframe church for people who have felt uninvited or disconnected from our typical understanding of church and faith. And that's called Uncommon Good. And then we have a creative agency that's for profit called Uncommon Creative, where we work with clients to help them bring their message out to the world through branding, through social media, websites, video, photography, all the things. So I'm very busy, but I love what I get to do.
And you're good at it. I love it.
Thank you.
Well, we got to do some work together. And that's why I said, hey, Dawn, you know my message. And I know you're passionate about helping get my message out there. And you're passionate about supporting people and just the work that you do. And that's why you kind of said, yes, I want to be that person that gets to do a podcast on kind of a coaching call. So let's just jump in like we normally do. And I'm going to ask you, what is it that you want to talk about today?
Great. So just to provide a teeny bit of context, what I want to talk about today is kind of just firming up some of the true beliefs that we have spent a long time working on for me. Most of my life have been a female in a male dominated field of ministry. I was a pastor, and that nonprofit field, that ministry sphere, had inflicted a lot of wounds on me over the years. And I had picked up a lot of false beliefs that you and I worked through for months, right?
Yes.
And the exciting thing is, like, it works, which is always shocking. Like when you're in a bad place, to be like, oh, look at me now. Like all of those things that didn't seem like they were going to work actually did work. But now that we're several months out from our coaching relationship, I find some of those false beliefs creeping back in, even though the process is still working. Right. So that's what's like been keeping me, like bouncing me back up these past couple months, these past 2 months, I would say, is like the process is working. All of the work that I've put in around my mindset, specifically one of my struggles was with abundance and scarcity, for example, or do I deserve to be valued for my work? The work that I put in there with your help is like paying off, but I still feel some of those false beliefs starting to creep back in now around like, I don't know what I'm doing, that
Yes.
that epic one that
Yep.
we all struggle with.
Oh, I hear you.
I don't have the skills to make this work long term. What if it goes badly, right? Just those, I think, the honeymoon of everything working is starting to wear off. And now it's like, okay, how am I going to implement these things to create sustainable change long term? And what practices do I need to put in place just as an ongoing basis? Because like anything, like for your physical health, it's not just like you work out for 6 months and you're set, unfortunately, right?
Yes.
So that's
good.
kind of what I want to talk about today.
I love it. You already listed the false beliefs. Say them again, just for our listeners, just to make sure that we're focusing on those false beliefs today.
Yeah. I would say like the umbrella one is, I don't know what I'm doing, or I don't have what it takes. It can get more specific in there of like, who am I to think I can run 2 organizations?
Isn't that funny how we have that panic moment? We're like, what was I thinking? Like, yeah, I know. Okay. So let's dig into that one. I love that one. What I want to ask you is, what's triggering that false belief to kind of come back up again?
That's a really good question. What I think it is, honestly, is that abundance is happening. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to you?
It totally does. And I was going to go there, but I want to see if you had your own clarity, which you do. Keep going.
Okay. So it's like abundance is happening, which is kind of what I was talking about earlier on around the things that we've worked on are working. But I have this sense of like, well, it can't work forever. It can't be this good forever. Right. I regularly have clients seeking me out. Every month I have income happen that I wasn't expecting. I have doubled my revenue since October. Like, all of these things are going so well. And I think part of me is just like, is it going to keep going? Like, is this, okay, this is working. This is really weird. This is working. This is amazing. Is it going to keep working? And do I have, certainly I don't have the skills to keep this going long term, right? That's the false belief that comes in. Certainly I don't have what it takes to make this work long term. This is just a fluke.
Yep. Oh my gosh. Sorry.
And I don't want to get too excited. Right? I don't want to get too excited, too comfortable with how things are, because how could it possibly keep going this way?
Okay. So I want to talk to, and just normalize this, because I talk to people all day long, and I want to say the unexpected trigger that happens is actual success.
Right. That's what I'm feeling.
And that is so unnerving. And 2 things happen. Old false beliefs come up and new false beliefs come in. So the old false belief I heard you say is, I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't know if I can do this. Okay. That was an older false belief you and I grappled with. The new one I'm hearing though is, this can't be my new normal.
Yes. 100%.
And this may not be sustainable, and I don't have what it takes to have this, to actually enjoy my success. So let's pause right here and start reaching for the true belief. What's the old true belief that you want to reach for, that's addressing that old false belief of, I don't know what I'm doing? What's the true belief you're reaching for?
Yeah. The true belief that I'm reaching for is, I have what it takes to be successful. I think I borrowed that from one of your true beliefs. I have everything I need for this journey. Perfect.
Now let's take a look at those new false beliefs coming up. I can't make it work forever. I don't have what it takes long term. This isn't sustainable. Does that true belief still work for those new false beliefs, or do you need to get a new one?
I think I need a new one.
Okay. What's coming to mind?
This is going to be messy. That's okay. That's the point of this, is for people to see the messy process, right?
Yep.
Abundance is sustainable.
Beautiful.
something along those lines. That doesn't mean 100% right, but like abundance is sustainable. Or the counter to that would be, I don't need to fear scarcity anymore.
Yeah.
Abundance is available long term.
Love it. The other one that's hitting me too, Dawn, is I get to enjoy my success.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't that feel almost too good to be true? Like, the
Definitely
success
does.
is happening. And remember, this is what we talked about. If it feels too good to be true, it's probably a true belief that you need to start integrating into your life. But to me, the highest standard is some level of joy and enjoyment, because when we're feeling joy, we're trusting that we get to have this. We're trusting that it's going to be sustainable. We're trusting that we're made for this. We're trusting in a power beyond ourselves that's providing for us. The only way we can engage this level of joy is really synced up with this level of trust. Does that resonate?
Totally does, because one of the other true beliefs that we worked on before was I get to release abundance. I don't have to strive for it. I get to just enjoy the ride. And that has this, I get to enjoy my success, reminds me of that image on a raft in a river, right? That I'm being carried, that I get to enjoy the experience. I'm not battling against the current. I get to be carried and I get to enjoy the process.
Right. Which really combats the false belief that I know we've worked through quite a bit, is I have to strive and work and everything is going to be an uphill battle.
Yes. I have to scrape out every single earning.
Exactly. I have to white knuckle it through life. And
That's right.
If it's successful, you better not let down. You better not actually enjoy it, because there's something around the corner that's going to hit you between the eyes.
And you know what? I think that is really a piece of this, that that striving is coming back, right? If I'm going to continue to be successful, I have to get back to that white knuckling. I have to keep striving. I have to, what was the old one? Oh gosh, this is great. I can't even remember this old false belief, but
wonderful.
I have to live life on the razor's edge. Like there is no abundance, right?
I remember that.
And that, I think you hit the nail on the head. It is getting right back into that striving mentality.
And why do you think you're doing that?
Because it's my default.
Yep. Did it work for you?
No, it didn't work at all.
And let me put it this way. Did it work to some measure? Like, did it put food on the table? Did it get you through school? Did it get the job done? That kind of stuff. Did it work to you for that kind of measure?
It did. Yes. And in that way, it really did. And in my old life of nonprofit ministry, it gained me a lot of accolades, frankly. It was the MO there is like, how much can you give of yourself for as little return as possible, you know? And if you're getting a return, it's probably doing something bad.
Exactly.
Probably not good.
And almost living in any kind of level of abundance or luxury was seen as probably selfish or self-absorbed, or just, it was frowned upon, right? So even the community that you were surrounded with perpetuated your false beliefs and probably planted them, right?
I mean, it was a self-fulfilling prophecy for sure.
Right.
The more I gave of myself, the more accolades I got, the more attagirls I got, but it never equated to any sort of like financial stability for me or my family. That was always frowned upon. So now I'm gaining some of that financial stability through hard work for sure, but it certainly hasn't felt like that white knuckle experience that I have grown accustomed to. And so I think that's why it feels like, well, this can't go on forever. It can't be this good. This can't be true.
Yeah. Well, and then I want to kind of pivot over there. We can have community and people in our life that support false beliefs and true beliefs. So just let's take a look at that. What's the people that you're surrounding yourself with right now, and how much are they contributing to the false beliefs and true beliefs? What's your clarity there?
That's a good question. I will say, I think for my husband, for Drew, he's amazing, but we've gone through this journey together of striving and um, lacking abundance and all of that. I think he still feels like this can't possibly be true.
I totally know what you mean, because your life partner here is in sync with you and supportive of you and loves you. And you're both growing together and you're both individuals. I mean, I've been married for 30 years. So I remember those beautifully awkward stages where one of us is out ahead, one of us, the other one is catching up, or we're in sync or not in sync. So talk to us a little bit about that, what the growth process has done for you guys.
Yeah, I will say he is absolutely my biggest cheerleader, 100%. And yet we are both we've shared a life together of this striving, lack of abundance, all of these same messages that I've described up until this point. So he struggles with those things too. And so every month for him is like a white knuckle experience, you know, like he does not trust that we are, you know, and my trust is tenuous. His trust is less than tenuous. Right? Yeah, fragile. So what I try to do in those circumstances is to remind him, like, the things that motivate me, the things that keep me buoyant, right, floating on the river, are not the fear. It's not the striving that sucks me straight down into I can't do this, into the false beliefs, right? What keeps me buoyant is sharing the successes, you know, reminding him of, like, look, 3 months ago we were doing this and now this. Look at what we're able to afford for our kids to participate in this year that we've never been able to do in the past. All of those, like, small wins, I try to keep forefront whenever either one of us gets into that, like, downward spiral, right? Because those reminders are what help me keep spiraling up and help me stay motivated. Like, this is what I've accomplished, you know? I feel like I do need a better support system of other women, frankly, that are in my boat, trying to mother, trying to grow a career, trying to be successful. I think I need that. I think that would be helpful.
Good. That's really good clarity. So, you know, I'm going to put that in your action step.
Yeah. Yeah.
Start noodling on that. Start looking around for that, because remember, our true belief really is it's abundance in all areas, abundance in community, resources, time, faith, trust. And a true belief that was popping in my head as you're talking is I get to trust. Sometimes that is one of the most powerful true beliefs that I too have to reach for. I get to trust my success. I get to trust the people that are going to come around me, that as I'm outgrowing some of these relationships, I either get to communicate it better or I get to find new ones. But I get to trust that it's all moving in that right direction.
And I have the blessing, truly, of being able to, like, step into that role for a lot of women who see the journey that I'm on, and they come to me to talk about, you know, raising their prices or struggles with their own business. And I get to be that cheerleader for them that says, you deserve to make good money for what you do. And I just need those voices in my own life.
Yeah.
You know, that when I have those moments that are like, no.
Yep. And I want to throw myself in the mix there. You know, success. I started doing all of this years ago, and my company just really blew up in a positive way. It just kept growing and growing and growing. And I remember not even having one client. I remember saying, my true belief is I'm going to have an international clientele. I couldn't believe it. I got everywhere: Japan, France, Egypt, Saudi, Israel. I mean, all these countries where I got different clients just would hear about me. I wasn't even doing a ton of marketing, but that's really what I was focusing on. Then as I moved into corporate coaching, I started really saying, I get to move into this corporate space and I get to trust that I get to belong there. Because isn't that our biggest fear? I don't really belong there and people don't really want me. And if we continue to live out of that, which comes from a deep source of low self-worth, what we're doing is we're perpetuating that internal mind chatter within us saying, yeah, you're right, you don't get to. So we actually get really good at that. We get really good at self-selecting out. But it begins with that internal dialogue. And so as you continue to grow that, you get to start applying in all these different areas. And that's what I'm so excited about. But no one warned me about the shadow side of success, that the false beliefs not only come back, but there's new ones that get invented. The good news I want to tell you is typically the true belief that you started out with, and I think I've shared mine with you, I'm being led and guided. Well, I've tacked onto it. I'm being led and guided, and I get to enjoy the journey, because that battle for joy for me is critical as things grow, because that's when I start white knuckling it. Enjoying for me is about trusting. And sometimes I might shift it into trusting. I get to trust the success. I get to trust that it's not all going to just crumble underneath me. So I don't know, as I'm saying that, what's kind of hitting you?
I am really resonating with this idea of enjoying, because enjoying is the opposite of fear. I mean, not the exact opposite, but when you're afraid, you're not enjoying. And so enjoying does mean that there's a level of trust, there's a level of freedom. There's a level of abundance that I get to lean into, like I have done for the past several months, which has got me to this point, which is just so funny and counterintuitive that it's like, now I'm here and now I'm struggling with these thoughts again.
Isn't it wild? Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah. That's what I want to affirm for our listeners. I think this is a big surprise when success happens and we've worked really hard. It's a big surprise that these false beliefs come up. And then I think right on the heels of that, I know I experienced this and I've seen it with my clientele, just the shame. I shouldn't feel this way. I've been working for this. I've been enjoying this. I feel, and so we almost try and talk ourselves out of this feeling of fear and insecurity that started to come up with the success. And I want to say, no, you just get to honor it. I kind of say, give yourself a hug, tell yourself it's okay. And the reality is you've never been here before. So the unknown can be scary, right? You've never been in the space. So you used this word earlier of default. Our default then, when we haven't been somewhere before, we go to our default. And a lot of our default systems are just smothered in false beliefs. And especially when you're trying to outgrow it, the default can be very dangerous. And so learning how to create a new default of true beliefs, which is really is simple. And I don't want to oversimplify it, but I do want to simplify it for you all. If you have just that true belief that you reach onto, it allows you to create a new default system. I've been insecure before. I have felt nervous before. I have felt intimidated before. I have felt like a poser before. I have felt all these things. Wait a minute. My new default is I know what to do about it. Not I will never feel that again. That's unrealistic.
Right. Yes, that's right. That's right. And I want to also add, like, a true belief does not feel true in the moment when you first start leaning into it. I think you touched on that, but it feels actually really not true.
Yeah, it does.
And yet the more what it did for me is it made me aware of how many times throughout the day I was repeating those false beliefs to myself.
Yeah.
Because suddenly there was a trigger. Oh, when I think this, I need to replace it. When I think this false belief, when I think I will never find success, when I think I don't deserve abundance, I'm going to counter that with my new true belief of abundance is going to rain down. Abundance is available. I get to release into thriving, right? It really makes you aware of how many times a day you are telling yourself those false beliefs. And then it's no wonder that you can't, that you look around and they're defining your reality. I mean, they were defining my reality.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are you doing? I know we've talked a lot about this. In fact, I have one of your journal entries just went into my head of the raining down of abundance. So you drew a picture of it. But what are you doing now to help you kind of take that abstract true belief and put it in a concrete form?
Doing some 3C journaling. And then what really helps me is to draw a picture of my true belief. And I am no artist, so don't let don't let that hold you back. Creating a mental image that I can bring to mind is much more efficient for me than even remembering a phrase.
Yep. Because a picture is really worth 1,000 words, which is why I really encourage people. Not only that, the neuroscience behind it engages the right side of your brain, and it allows you to picture that when all else fails and you're in the middle of panicking or you're in the middle of hard emotions, the picture is what you can remember and not the words. So that's why I have pictures all over my house.
And I think secondarily, I did a vision board back in October when I was like at a really low point. And I think maybe I need to do another vision board. I think, some more of that just imaging and spending time reflecting.
I love it. So, I'm going to ask you, what's the action steps? What's your takeaways that you want to take from our conversation today?
Okay. So a couple action steps. One, it's already in process. Actually, and I realized that as we were talking about this. I'm actually working to create a little network of entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs in our community. So there's a couple of us working on this together, and we're going to start at the end of the month. So I think that could be really great place to get some of that encouragement. Number two is I want to revisit my vision board and create a new image around. I wrote down 3 different true beliefs that I want to work on. And so thinking through what images would help support those for me.
Perfect. And then what practices do you want to put in place around your true belief?
What do you mean by that?
It's one thing to write it down and close your journal and walk away. What are you doing to help keep it in front of you so that mind chatter, that inner dialogue that you mentioned earlier, that you have something to reach for? What are you doing to be able to reach for it?
I think for months and months, I was really good at doing just a quick daily 3C journal. And I think I just need to get back to that for a little while. It for me, it can be a super quick practice, but just to have that true belief in front of me.
Perfect.
Is really helpful.
Perfect. And then for our listeners, go ahead and describe a little bit of what 3C journaling is.
So for me, what I do, tell me if that's right or wrong.
There's no right or wrong in this. You be free.
The clarity sometimes is I'm getting clarity around this thing that's not true. Confidence. Here's what is true. And then courage. Really quick. What am I going to do to move into? I didn't say that quite right. What am I going to do today to pretend like that true belief is real?
Excellent. You got it. Yeah, it's what we call the engaging the courage. You nailed it, Dawn. It's a super simple process. What's rattling around in my brain is the clarity. So it could be 1 or 2 sentences. It could be pages. And I've done it in minutes and I've done it in hours, whatever it is that I need that time. The confidence is, you're right. You can either write down a false belief and reject it, or you can go straight to the true belief and just engage it. That's where I then encourage you all to stop and meditate on it for a couple minutes. Maybe draw a picture around it if you have the time. Visualize the picture, whatever it is you need to do, but spend a little bit of just moments in that true belief. And then the courage is all about taking action steps. And it's a real quick wrap up of, this is the courage I'm going to engage today based on the clarity and the confidence that I gained from this time. So yeah, great job. All right. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Dawn, it was a great session today. I was so inspired. This is why I do what I do. I just love hearing people like you, and I get to work with them all day long, just growing and growing. And this is what I want to just remind you. And as I remind our listeners, you hold the clarity within you, you hold the confidence within you, and you hold the courage within you. The more we can just find spaces in this world, I get to be a part of that space, but you'll find it and cultivate it with your own friends and your marriage and in your families and in your places of work. You get to carry your clarity and confidence and courage around with you. You get to cultivate it yourself and be able to coach yourself through it. So great job today.
And I just want to say for all of the listeners that Heather's work works. If you are feeling stuck, I encourage you to get her book, encourage you to get her coaching companion. I am a testament of the fact that this works. I was in a totally different place 9 months ago than I am today. I feel like a different person. In fact, I told my husband in January, I feel happy again.
Yeah.
And I haven't felt that joy in a long, long time.
Oh, good, Dawn. Oh, that makes me so happy. That makes me so happy. This is why I do what I do. And I think that too, my goal is just to gently be the guide, but you showed up every time, you did the work every time. And now I don't know, it's been several months since we've had a coaching session, but just having it again today, I've been smiling. And a part of me was like, oh, I wanted to totally take a rabbit trail and go, tell me more about that. I haven't heard about that yet.
Yeah, I know.
So thanks for your transparency. Thanks for joining us today. And as always, listeners, we are cheering you on. Thanks for joining us. We had such a great time today. And obviously, we are all stepping into this life that we're made for. But isn't it nice to have a little bit of support along the way? If you want to find out more about the life that you're made for, come find me at heatherpenny.com. Go ahead and subscribe. Give us a review. That really helps us out and helps spread the word. You get to step into the life that you're made for. Cheering you on.